Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I have a fun book tag for you which is called Reader Problems Book Tag. And this tag is made by Anouk Vander Lee. Anouk Vander Z. I'm really hoping I'm pronouncing her name correct. It's a Dutch name and she is Dutch and she has this beautiful website called Adventures of a Bookish Girl. Please do go and check her out, and without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead with this tag. So the first question is, you have 20,000 books in your TBR. How do you decide what to read next? Well, first of all, I do not keep 20,000 books as a want to be. It's usually less than that, and my TBR is even shorter than that. I actually stick to my Goodreads aim, the reading challenge, to a very realistic amount, and I only expect to finish that much because reading is about enjoying and not exactly competing with yourself. So the next question is, you are halfway through a book and just not loving it. Do you put it down or are you committed? So when I start a book, this is how it's for me. It's that if it does not hold interest within me for at least the first 100 pages, I usually give up. And because I do not like wasting my time on books that don't hold my interest for a very long time. And I think first impressions are really important when it comes to reading books too. So I don't like wasting my time. Very rarely do I give that extra chance. So the third question is, the end of the year is coming and you're behind on your reading challenge. Do you try to catch up? If so, how? So last year I kept a challenge of about 35 books and I completed 32. And I had tried catching up with my own expectations and it did not work out very well. There were a lot of problems because I had to DNF a lot of books, other books that I had not put up on my reading goal challenge. So this year I have learned the lesson from last year and kept it to a bare minimum of at least 10 less, which is 20-25 this year, because I really want to enjoy the book I'm reading rather than competing with myself, and be really realistic about it. Okay, so the fourth question is, the covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope? Guys, it is very irritating indeed when things like that happen. I actually have two different kinds of Harry Potter covers, but thank God those copies do not belong to me. I'm going to actually eventually buy the house colors. I'm a Hufflepuff. But other than that, what I do is I try to buy those kind of books on my Kindle. So half of it, a little bit of the cheating is there where my bookshelves on Kindle are not shown. So I do not cope with that problem because they're e-readers, but they're still there on my shelf. So I do have a bookshelf which I'm not showing you guys. So fifth question is, everyone and their mother loves a book that you do not. Who do you bond with over your shared feelings? Okay, so I guess booktubers and friends who did not like it too, since I have an Instagram account and I can have a conversation or a rant with someone. But mostly booktubers, because I have more similar interests with them or with anyone else. Most of the time even my mother doesn't like the same books as I do, but not always. But yeah, that's how I deal with it without having to fight with anyone. So the sixth question is, you're reading a book in public and you're about to start crying. How do you deal with this? Well, with experience I have learned not to carry such books in public. and even if I know that it's gonna be an emotional book, I make sure it's big enough to hide my face. I don't make an excuse for it, but I try not to sniff because I have a very runny nose. I think you guys did not want to know about that, did you? God. Okay, so the seventh question is that the sequel to the book you loved just came out, but you've forgotten a lot of what happens. Are you going to reread it? Are you crazy? I don't have that much time. Can you imagine reading Empire of Storms all over again and then having to read Tower of Dawn and Kingdom Rush? Nuh-uh. Those are huge Sarah J. Maas books, first of all. But what I do is I check up spoiler-filled reviews or more like summaries, and then I move on to the book that I have been anticipating for a really long time. Eighth question, guys. You do not want anyone to borrow your books. How do you politely say no when someone asks? So I hate saying no, and so I sometimes lie to them saying someone else borrowed it already, or I haven't read it yet, I can't give it to someone. Yet I can't give it to you yet. But that's like a half lie. Guys, those of you who know me, please don't get offended. They're my babies, okay? They're really my babies and they're my heirloom. But otherwise, I think there's a more gentler way to go with this, which is to say, which is to basically direct them towards library membership. Very subtle and very helpful for you and for me. Okay, so the ninth question is, you have picked up and put down 5 books in the last month. How do you get over a reading slump? Yes, this actually happened to me this year, so for such a long time. And what I do when I go through a reading slump is to reread old books or read something similar to old books. For example, I may pick up a book in my own house or a library that may sound like one of my other favorite books because they're light reading and they get you back into that mood and remind you why you started loving to read in the first place. And see, it may differ from person to person. So I would pick up something a little fast paced, or I'd pick up a nice, very simple romance novel like one of those Milton Boone books, or I pick up a McCabe book because they have humor. And I also sit and watch booktubers who are going through the same stuff and they're in a ranty mood, and it makes me feel less alone around that time. And I think that you could follow this example because it really helped me out. 10th question is, there are so many books coming out that you are dying to read. How many do you end up buying? Books are not cheap. They're heavy with words, hence they are pricey. So I at least buy 3 to 4, but I don't end up reading 3 to 4. I actually end up reading 2 to 3 because I kind of get carried away with another book, and sometimes I take a lot of time and they sit on the shelves for a few months to years. And sometimes I just don't end up reading them at all. I mean, I give them a try, but I get so disappointed that sometimes I've wasted money on this book. So I wait for a few months and I wait and give it to a friend who may want to own it on her bookshelf. So last question is, after you purchase all of these books you're dying to read, how long do they sit on your shelves before you get to them? So when I buy them, I at least make sure that when I go to the bookstore, when I'm browsing on Amazon that there'll be one book that I just want to read like right now. So the book that I'm currently reading is kind of put on standby for a while. And I buy that I when I buy the books, I instantly at least pick up one and I finish it like in the go. That actually happened with Throne of Glass for me. I started reading it when I think a year after it was actually published. Sorry, released. Yeah, so I had started reading that immediately. And the other books do sit there for a few months, but not too long. So I really enjoyed doing this book tag, and I don't know a lot of people that I've become friends with on BookTube, and that's why I may be unable to tag anyone in this. But please feel free to do this book tag with your friends, with your loved ones, with other book readers on communities. I am so happy I found this website. It looks so good. I'll leave a link for this below. But that's it for today, and thank you very much. Bye bye.